the Overman Warrior Podcast.
Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. Yeah, I don't do these things to just show you a lot of videos. I provide commentary. The kind of commentary I give to a lot of people for free. Free advice. I would say a lot of it's at a high level. A lot of it's stuff that takes a long time to sift through the media to get through producers who have to come to it in their own way in between dropping their kids off for soccer practice and meeting their spouse for dinner after a busy day. They have to somehow reconcile some of the fast-moving things that are happening in our life. I see a major flaw in that process in reporting, in media reporting, and a lot of people are way behind. I know we're going through a period where a few years from now, like 2035, we're going to be looking back on 2020 and say, whoa, we were primitive, we were way behind, because we're going to have, mark it on your calendar, a lot of people are going to get rich off the space economy. That's why I get excited about it. Not because getting rich is something to get excited about, but the kind of independence it gives people who gain individual wealth and fortunes. The space economy is going to be worth trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And it's going to be new money for whatever country unlocks it. And we happen to have a presidential administration that gets it and is willing to unlock it. Now, I know people don't have time to read all the books that come out. They come out as fast as they do. There was a wonderful CNBC interview with Gwynne Shotwell from SpaceX, current president of SpaceX. I'll show you in a moment, and they're great videos. You can go see them for yourself. Just go look them up on YouTube. I'll show you a couple clips here because, as I've been telling everybody, the new manufacturing standard in the world for every manufacturer, I don't care if you're building corks for wine bottles, the new manufacturing standard is being set right now at the SpaceX facility at Boca Chica, where they're going to soon produce roughly a Starship every couple days. The goal is to produce like 3 a day. They're really bullish on it. And to get to that level, and I'll explain this in a minute, what's been holding us back? The 2020 economy, and I mean the lockdown economy, the Amy Acton lockdown economy, when people say, Amy Acton or Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio. Why is Vivek? He's a rich guy. You gotta hate him. Amy Acton is for the people. She's a socialist. She's like the crazy lunatic in Maine. Or the guy, the new mayor in New York. Socialism is the way. Well, that's what all the kids were taught in school, and they were all taught incorrectly, and they're not aligned. So they're going to get to about 2035 as a human culture, and they're going to be like, oh, well, how do we miss this? Because you're going to have renewable, regenerative medicine, which take the socialism out of it. You're going to have a new space capitalism where trillions of dollars are coming into people who normally wouldn't have access to that kind of wealth. It's going to be everyday people, just like the SpaceX. That's why I was excited about the SpaceX IPO. Talk about that in a minute too. And you're going to have robots basically handling everything. So all these people have said, restrict the expansion of the economy so that you can pay workers more money. You know, the whole populist mantra, which I get. I have a lot of people that share current politics with me who think that way. Even though there's a lot of people in the world that will outwork those workers, they work a lot harder. They're the people who don't show up at their McDonald's job late. They don't call off all the time. They go, they work hard at whatever they do. Those kinds of people you need more in this rapidly expanding marketplace that we're in currently. The gambles that the political left, and this is why Amy Acton was so detrimental, because she signed on to the lockdown strategy. And we'll talk about the biolabs here on a separate thing. Like I told you, everybody, 6 years ago, exactly what the biolabs were. They were state-sponsored weapons labs that were developed in places that were less regulation, which is why the economy that we're going to talk about is so important. Regulations and rules were created by dumb people to make the world slow like they are, to slow down the world so that they can compete in it. So they come up with a lot of nonsense to get people to chase after and learn all their nonsense so that they can slow the world down to their speed. And it harms the economy. And that's certainly the case when it comes to what's going on at SpaceX, and certainly the case that's going on with the Amy Actons of the world who had the lockdown strategy. And I don't agree with Elon Musk on everything. Elon Musk is all for a universal wage, and his basic premise is, look, robots in a few years made at Tesla bots, which I think are brilliant, and I think they're going to do everything that he says they're going to do. And if you listen to Gwen Shotwell on some of these interviews, when you talk about data centers, you talk about what SpaceX is doing, which SpaceX has been doing with Starlink, brilliant internet platform. Data center, something's got to process all this information that's floating around. And yeah, you're not going to put AI back in the bottle. And I'm saying all this because I just read, I think this stuff anyway, and I don't need a book to tell me, but this book just came out from Skyhorse Publishing, so it's going to be fairly well received by the conservative side of audiences. I think it's well done. Just came out. The Audible's not even out on it, so you got to read it the old-fashioned way. And like I said, books that are about this big, this isn't a very big book. Just over 200 pages when you count the footnotes. It's probably a 7 or 8 hour read if you sit down and start on it and just don't get up until it's done. This is something you can start after dinner and finish it before midnight. So I got this book as soon as it came out. I knew it was coming. Wonderful book. Definitely it came out the same week as the IPO for SpaceX, which is just a hint. SpaceX, if you missed the SpaceX entry point, which you'd be crazy to miss it, if you missed it, there's going to be rare earth mining companies, rare metal mining companies that are going to be mining on the moon. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to, there's going to be chip plants. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, and I'll get into this in a second, because Gwen Shotwell, I think the CNBC interview captured it just a little bit. They do a pretty good job. I don't get hung up on all the NBC being ultra woke liberal stuff. I think they did a nice interview with her. And everybody's trying to understand Elon Musk because he's unconventional. But I'll tell you right now, the standards built at Boca Chica, the manufacturing practices that SpaceX has utilized, is changing aerospace. I know because I'm in aerospace, but it's going to change every manufacturing industry because this is the new Toyota Kata model, what they're doing down at Boca Chica, and that is remove regulations, remove barriers. If someone comes up with a dumb idea, get rid of it. Don't let dumb ideas slow down the rate of necessity of innovation and production. And at SpaceX, they're very fast, and they have a wonderful manufacturing facility, probably I think the best in the world. And pretty soon they're going to be, when people consider rocket science to be the hardest thing in the world to do, now you have a manufacturing facility that's going to mass rate produce, build rockets that are going to go to space routinely every couple days. Soon, as she says, and I'll translate before you see the interviews, and this is part of the whole space capitalism. And you have a Starship on the front cover, with a super heavy booster rocket, all at the launch pad. When you start talking about putting the amount of tonnage into space that this is going to create, the impact is you have all new revenue streams and new people playing in it, and then you're going to have robots galore run from these massive data centers and AI. They're going to be our assistants, and labor's going to be a choice. Now, I'm all for labor. I don't think there's anything better than human labor. But when you try to run a manufacturing plant and you go out into your shop floor and 25% of your people have called off because it's a really nice day, someone's got to be there to do the work. Work doesn't do itself. And there was an assumption during COVID that comes from liberals that you can work from home, you can work from your living rooms. Really, still, even now, there are still really large manufacturing companies that are trying to work from home, and it's not a thing. It doesn't work. I don't like it at all. And the idea that we could shut down emissions, shut down the highways, get everybody to work from home, so they wouldn't be driving cars and putting emissions out to generate an economy, that they could do it all from Microsoft Teams, which is actually something that Bill Gates suggested. That's how crazy a lot of these liberals are. So, of course, when that's your frame of reference, you're going to see a book like this and you're like, well, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not going to deal with space. You're going to deal. Every single human being on Earth is going to deal with space. You're going to be attached to space. And it's not that you have to go send humans into space into dangerous environments. There'll be a lot of labor that will go into space, from robots, Tesla bots. Tesla bots have to be run by these massive data centers and AI. That's why AI is critical to this point. And by 2035, a few short years from now, you got to remember now, I went out and said all the stuff I said about the lockdowns and the kind of economy that globalists were trying to inflict, the World Economic Forum people, was 2020, 2019, and I told them how crazy wrong they were then. And just 6 years later, now you have a lot of people like, whoa, hey, they're saying the same thing I was saying back then. I can tell you, sure, as you're watching this, that by 2035, you're going to be like, whoa, what happened to the human race? The human race is like, it's totally different. We're like in a Blade Runner kind of consideration of sending robots into space. They're almost doing work at the same level as the human being. And a lot of economic expansion is occurring because labor is no longer constrained by humans getting out of bed and showing up for work. So when Elon Musk says everyone's going to have a universal wage, your robot representative or somebody else out there is going to be doing the work, producing the economy, and then someone's going to have to get the paycheck. The robot doesn't need it. So that's where Elon Musk is coming from. But for a minute now, let's reflect on some of the CNBC interview. There's a couple different segments that are absolutely, I think, jaw-dropping, stunning. Because, again, if you want to read a good book about it, this is one that came out the same week as the IPO for SpaceX. I highly recommend it. I got it as soon as it hit the shelves. I don't think there was 1 second more that went by that it doesn't even have an Audible on it yet. It's you just gotta, if I talk about how many books I read a week, and these kinds of books I can read in a day. If I put about 7.5 hours into it, I can get it done in a day. An evening. In my own life, I typically work 16 to 22 hour days. I'll take a 3-hour power nap here and there. To get everything, to do all that I do, there's no way to do it. And I think Elon Musk, why I like him, is he's a similar kind of mindset. And they hire those kinds of people. And I know, because Gwen Shotwell, I've had SpaceX poach people from me. And I'm not that I'm okay with that kind of practice, but I get it. They work hard down there, and people who are treasure hunting in life and painting for gold go to SpaceX because that's where all the hot things are happening. And there will be books written about SpaceX for many decades. And I'm saying right now, this is 2026, halfway through 2026, 2027, 2028 are going to be spectacular years for space. And by 2035, we're going to be able to decide if we age. The technology is going to be there to completely reverse age people. And people are going to have trillions of dollars. So when you have discussions about Social Security and bank accounts and how people get funded for retirement ages are going to change completely. And there's going to be routine messages from space and new discoveries constantly. And it's going to fill everybody's bank accounts in ways that economic expansion never has allowed. And that is because the United States exists. Capitalism is going to be the embrace. Right now, your two populist movements are socialism on the left, which is why you see all these radical left socialists entering politics, Bernie Sanders types, Ocasio-Cortez types, and of course Trump has set it up on the conservative side. And that's the full embrace of capitalism. Vivek Ramaswamy started one of those, and once they start getting into states like Ohio and embracing this, and I know this a little bit, as much as I know, and I know a lot of people out there who do a lot of important things, I'm not on a text. I can't text Elon Musk at where I'm at. I don't know him personally, but I can text Vivek Ramaswamy. And I could, if I wanted to get a message to Elon Musk, I could do it through people like Vivek Ramaswamy. And I only name drop that because Vivek gets this. And I know he's getting a lot of criticism because he's a billionaire now. And he's supporting the data centers. I was down at the Garver family farms. I like to go down there to get apple juice. I like the little place they put. I like seeing the Middletown old Armco factory in the background of all the open cornfields there. The Majors farm is there. There's a lot of great farms in Monroe. I love to drive through there and see the big open farms. I love farms. So I like to go to the Garver family thing. The Garver family, if you live in Butler County, you know what I'm talking about. They have a nice little store. They used to sell produce to help pay taxes for their land because they had these big, massive farms. You have to generate revenue somehow. And they do a really nice job now. They have open a little store to sell like produce. And I go down there to get nice, good apple juice. I like apple juice from the Garver family store. I geek out on that like I geek out going to Wawa. I love Wawa. Gas stations. It's great. I love to go there and get gas for my lawnmower and stop in and get some little snacks. I take the grandkids down to Wawa, close to, there's a couple of them in Liberty Township now. I go down to Wawa to get them an icy. They're like, Grandpa, can we go get an icy at Wawa? Yes. You can go down and get, they love the chicken wraps, and my granddaughter does, my oldest one. And they love ices, and I love going down there and get those. So I go down to the Garver place and get apple juice. It's fresh, is probably a little fresher than the typical grocery store. Although I don't know if its sourcing is much different. And of course, they're against the data centers in Trenton. Trenton, if you're facing the Garver little grocery place, in the background's vast fields, Armco, AK Steel, the old economic backbone of Middletown, Ohio, is behind them. Just off to the west, behind the Garver place, is Trenton. You can see kind of the power towers that were built for the Miller Brewery, which is a huge economic opportunity in Trenton. Back when I was a kid growing up, they built that place. And a lot of those union-driven companies they've set the standard for manufacturing for years, including 5-day work weeks, 40-hour weeks. A lot of people are saying, well, I like the way things are now. I like having the holidays off. I like having my holidays. We're talking about completely reinventing manufacturing in all economies all over the world, especially in the United States. And these data centers are going to be important to that next phase. And it will be, do I work every day? Do I get up and go to a job? Or does my robot go for me? That's kind of where we're going to be in. And then, do I get old? I'm 65. I'm 70 years old. Do I want to be 35 again? Do I want to retire? So I think answering that question is like, no, I'm not going to retire. I wouldn't feel comfortable retiring unless I had $2 or $3 million in the bank. How am I going to get $2 or $3 million? Well, I need to participate in the space economy for another 10 years, from 70 to 80. So I need to work for another 15 years. I'm not going to draw Social Security or anything else. I'm just going to keep working. My robots will go work lots of jobs, and I'll get their income. I'll get paid for the work they do, which is probably how it lays out. I'm gonna stick around and fill my bank account and keep waiting for my stocks to come in off the space economy. When I get $3 or $4 million in my bank account, maybe I'll retire then. I'll be 80. My body will think it's 35 because nanobots and genetic treatments will make it so that your body heals itself like it was when you were a baby. Cancers will be extinct. They'll be fixed and treated like an in and out visit at your local doctor. You'll get I have a sore throat. Okay, here's some prescriptions from the pharmacy. Go down to Walgreens and get this and take it for 3 days, and your strep throat will go away. That's the world we're talking about. That's where we're at. This is 2026. Under 10 years. Mark it on your calendar. I know little people are like, don't overpromise. Always underpromise and overdeliver. I'm giving foreseeable advice that is based on the world that I live in and what I know about the world, based on the people I know in it and where it's going to be. And I'm giving you stuff that you can plan your life to that will help you tremendously. And I'm doing it on this format because it takes too long to get through the traditional media. It takes too long to write a book, believe me, I know, to get it through a bunch of agents, editors, publishers, and actually get it pre-press done and get it to the market. This book probably, and I love this book. I really think this is something that a lot of normies are going to need. But this, to me, when I was reading it, I said, well, this book's like 6 months too old. This book, you can tell, is the way the world was 6 months ago, not the way the world is going to be tomorrow. Well, how's the world going to be tomorrow? Well, let's listen to Gwynne Shotwell here on CNBC, and I'll give you a good taste of it. This is big stuff, I think, if I can get it to play. All right. It's giving me an ad. It wanted to give me an ad.
We are entering a new age. You need to balance
supply and the reason I'm doing it this way, it's easier. I could tell you to go look these up on your own. I could attach the links in my blog, and you can go find it for yourself. But my experience says people don't typically do that. We live in such a fast-paced media world that people need. You got to spoon feed everybody everything. So while I'm doing this talk and you're listening, because I've developed a level of trust with people.
And finally, and I hear about this a lot from military experts in terms of what it's doing in the warfighting domains.
Gwynne Shotwell over here, the president of SpaceX, CNBC host. An interesting interview, and they're going to talk about Elon Musk and whether he's understood or not, and the fact that Elon Musk has attached himself to the Trump administration. Again, Elon Musk I'd look at as a major Democrat, and he voted for Obama and Biden the first time. But he knows his passion is here in SpaceX and building this company that's been around. People won't think of it. They don't think of it as, I think of it as a new company. SpaceX has been around for 2 decades now. And nobody builds rockets better than them. All right, here she is.
And I hear about this a lot from military experts in terms of what it's doing in the warfighting domains. But finally, I want to go back to something you and I have talked about before, and that is founder, CEO, CTO, chairman of the board, Elon Musk. What is something that is maybe misunderstood or lesser known about him that investors, Wall Street, now Main Street, should know?
I think he's very misunderstood across the board. I want people to know him. In fact, he participated in some of the discussions that we have over the last couple of weeks with investors.
I think she's
and
brilliant.
Investors left saying, I had no idea that is the man. And I said, that's the man I've worked for 24 years.
She knows how to handle the right balance. That's why Musk has had her in
his
that place
focus
for a
on
long
retail,
time.
By the way, is kind of, I think that embodies a lot of what he's trying to do. He's trying to make space open for everybody. He wanted this IPO. He wanted regular people to be able to buy the stock. And a lot of folks participated at the retail level. Not even traditional retail, but by the way, if you look at all the individuals that were able to buy outside of the institution, it's like 33% of the round.
It's pretty incredible. The retail investor playbook and what this milestone means for that as well.
I hope it kind of shifts more companies to allow
It will.
everyday people to buy stock. By the way, I'm not saying I don't love our institutional investors. They were incredibly supportive. They've been incredibly supportive, and they continue to be. But we've had so much demand over the last few years from friends and from family and from Tesla shareholders. Tesla employees wanted to buy SpaceX stock, and they couldn't do it.
Tesla's a great
before
company.
Today.
Well, and even just to give a little bit color
Great
to
car
the
company.
viewers, I mean, outside of here for bell ringing, the amount of people that were standing here taking pictures and cheering it on.
Did you see all the
Zelensky's-
kids?
I did.
There were so many kids out there. Like, fantastic.
A CEO has to know how to create a vision that people can invest in. For companies, employees have to know what that vision is. You have to set it. That's why she's been so good over the years. That's why Elon Musk has her in that role as president of SpaceX. But a lot of the ideas come from Elon Musk, so she knows how to balance his eccentricities. It's just like Walt Disney had his brother Roy, who kind of watched the finances and why he was kind of eclectic and creative. It's always good when you have people who can kind of ground you, especially when you have these mad scientist types of geniuses that don't have a childlike creativity about them, but they're adults and they never grew up. And that's certainly Elon Musk, and he comes with all kinds of great ideas, and she knows how to balance that into a culture that can then adhere to it. So they're walking the shop floor of the Boca Chica factory, which I'm extremely impressed with. A lot of this infrastructure is moving over into Cape Canaveral, and she's going to talk about that here in a minute. The cadence of Starship flights. Now, I've been watching these since when COVID occurred. I've been cheerleading on space. You can go back and watch a lot of videos. I've talked about the Starship and each iteration of it. We just had Starship 12 a few weeks ago here in June of 2026. For 13, 14, and 15, I am thinking of making a pilgrimage to go watch them launch in life, whether it's down in Texas or they end up in Cape Canaveral. I think when they do the one in Cape Canaveral, I'm going to have to be there because I have a long history with the whole space program and all that in that part of the world, and for me, it's a personal victory to see how it plays out. But here, let me. I can tell you how enthusiastic I am about it. Listen to her. Now, I consider her a normie. She's kind of a normal person who has been put into the role of president of SpaceX. And here she's talking about manufacturing techniques and the way they resolve. I speak a lot about problem resolution. And I work in aerospace, so I understand what he's saying here and why aerospace is going to change forever, because I know the stagnation that's been going on for the last 15 years. It was the bets that liberalized society had about regulatory confinements placed on the manufacturing process in aerospace. And SpaceX has changed that. And that's going to be the future. And kind of comes from her here. Listen to her.
Trust structure so that the flame basically can escape. And what's important is that we weren't even thinking about this for Flight 1. This was not part of Flight 1. Hot staging came on Flight 2.
Hot staging.
Just to talk about the speed of innovation.
A way to
here
get
at
the
SpaceX.
flames to divert out. To have a spacer there that keeps... Show me what I had already seen. They're looking at a hot staging ring that they're building on the floor.
Wow, this week escalated quickly. We've got Starship Flight 13 inching closer with more testing completed.
That's my good buddy Marcus House talking there.
Structure so that the flame basically stages separate. Starship separates from the booster. We used to have pushers to do that, and that felt. If you follow
Look at that
Elon's
hot staging
algorithm
ring
of
being built there on the floor.
Get rid of the part. We wanted to get rid of those pusher parts because they actually have a hard time.
This is going to far exceed the Toyota manufacturing systems from Japan. What they're doing down in Boca Chica. This
Starship,
stuff.
while it's still attached or while it's still on top of Super Heavy booster, and it actually pushes the booster away. So you leverage the flame and the pressure from the second stage, Starship, down onto Super Heavy, and it pushes it away. But you need to have this truss structure so that the flame basically can escape. And what's important is that we weren't even thinking about this for Flight 1. This was not part of Flight 1. Hot staging came on Flight 2.
They're only on
Just to talk
Flight
about the speed of
12.
innovation here at SpaceX.
Going on to 13 in a couple weeks. 13 and 14 is coming up.
Like I always say, this is the start of the true space age. It's almost like the smart
Truss structure so that the flame basically can escape. Truss structure so that the flame basically.
When do we get to full reusability? When do we get to orbital flights for
There we
Starship?
go.
So it largely depends on the FAA, actually. We have done an in-space Raptor lighting, so we feel pretty comfortable, but we want another suborbital shot on the next flight, and then I hope we at
13.
least attempt an orbital injection on Flight 14.
14.
And then from there on out.
July, August.
What do you think is a reasonable timeline? I realize a lot has to happen.
A lot has to happen. I think we're, so what is it, beginning of June? Maybe a month-ish away from Flight 13.
Okay.
And then we should fly every month.
Every month.
So we could actually see a Starship that
Starship.
is in operation by the end of this year.
Oh, in orbit?
In orbit.
Oh, yes.
A Starship in orbit, operating full-time by the end of 2026.
Truss structure so that the flame
Astonishing.
basically can escape.
Another one here that's really good. There it is.
With KPMG, you can accelerate your AI journey from idea to implementation.
Again, I don't do these videos just to have people watch me watch videos.
You can with AI.
But I laid some of these videos out.
So we're on the upper floor of Mega Bay here, and we've got Starman pointing to the original village here, which you can see. You can also see the launch pad out there.
A lot of people don't know this stuff.
I wanted to bring you up here because I wanted
They need
you to
to.
see this kind of incredible modern structures at peace with this beautiful environment. I don't know where else you'd see something like this. I think it's incredible.
It is pretty incredible.
So this is another story to the new Gigafactory that they're building down, that they've built in
To me,
Boca
this is
Chica.
like next-gen futuristic company town.
Yeah, it is actually. And it's expanding. We've got another housing development
It's going to
down
be a
there.
new city.
And then
soon.
we're going to kind of duplicate that. We've got a school up the road. Yeah, it's an incredible place.
Yeah, and you're building more too in terms of being able to have more rockets, make more rockets, store more rockets as
That
well.
is correct.
All right. Well, the pace of explaining all this, it's impressive. And what she essentially said there is that the rate of their manufacturing, they're going to be producing a new Starship essentially every day. They'll be launching them every week. They plan in 2026 to start launching Starships every month. So far, it's been like 2 or 3 a year up to this point, and soon. And they learn a lot from every one of these launches. and then they make quick updates, and they get in a lot of aerospace companies, you get what I call the pinheads, the pinhead losers, who are afraid of their own shadows usually. They're the kinds of people that get into the business so they can be in charge of things. Their own kids don't listen to them. And they get into engineering so they can write rules that everybody has to follow for decades. And in a lot of cases, that's their legacy. And Elon Musk has come along and challenged all that and said, look, just because some loser engineer said you got to do this and do that, all these things that are ridiculous, they said it 3 decades ago, doesn't mean you got to do it going forward. Get to know who it was, why they came up with the regulation, and challenge it. And what they do with every Starship launch is they review the flight performance, and if something doesn't work right, they get rid of it. They change it on the spot. There's all kinds of, in typical industry, you have a lot of ISO and NADCAP requirements. It takes most of a year to change a plan in a large aerospace manufacturing company, a tier 1, because all the regulatory burdens that there are. And SpaceX has found a way in their own, because they're not selling to the public as much. I mean, they're not selling commercially, they're selling to themselves. So they're their own customer in a lot of ways, so they can change plans quickly. And they're engineers, and I know it because, like I said, I've had engineers poached from me that go work for SpaceX, and they tell me what's going on and how it is. And that's the manufacturing of the future. And it's going to be very exciting. Very exciting. I can play Marcus House. These are, again, you can look these all these videos up on YouTube and play them. But I tend to like Marcus House. Every Saturday he covers new aerospace
constellations, along with the gigantic new production facilities. I'm sure you've noticed the constant stream of media attention about the initial public offering taking SpaceX partially public, and NASA dropped a stack of fresh Artemis 3 details that raise almost as many questions about SpaceX and Blue Origin's human landing system test setup.
If you want to know what's going on, follow him every week.
It's only once in a blue moon we get this many
Marcus
updates
House.
in a week, so strap in tight.
Coming down the ladder now.
This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Hey, Marcus House with you here, and boy has it been a week flooded with information on some grand plan thinking for SpaceX and the Starship program. First, let's just catch up on where we are at for the upcoming Starship Flight 13 though. The Super Heavy for this flight, Booster 20, was sitting at the Massey's Cryo Station where we left you last week. They kicked right into gear just hours after that video went live, and they were filling both tanks.
Okay, that's a half-hour broadcast, and I recommend watching them as investors and people out there who are not in on it and not really, you know, the books like this come out and you look at it and you're like, well, I'm not going to be dealing with space. Everybody is going to be dealing with space in a very short period of time. And it's going to be every bit as spectacular as the fantasy environment of Blade Runner. The kind of morality considerations that you get. Those are going to be real problems. Maybe not to that degree or that level of realness, where you can't even tell what a robot is anymore, because they look just like everybody else. We're talking about the challenges of a rapidly expanding economy and people's ability to have more free time than they've ever had in their lives, without a retirement age looming in the front of them. You know, like there's a clock always running out, and you only have so much time to make X amount of dollars so you can retire at 65 or 70 or whatever it ends up being. Those kinds of challenges are going to very much change very rapidly, and it's because of things like what I just showed you. What they're doing down at SpaceX, the manufacturing techniques, the rate of innovation, the rate of resolution are all part of that story, and it's going to happen very rapidly, and it's exciting. And I love to see that the plans for Starship are to actually do what they want to do, where they catch the Starship landing. It doesn't just land out in the ocean. They want to catch it at the pad, at either Boca Chica or at Kennedy Space Center. But to launch a rocket from there and then even consider catching it, or to have a booster in space performing in 2026, so within 6 months of me doing this broadcast, they're talking about having hardware, a Starship in space orbiting, which then, that starts a new environment for, where the International Space Station isn't the only place where humans can occupy and have a residence in space. The infrastructure for hotels in space and manufacturing facilities in space and chip building in space, mines straight off the moon, comes from this basically a giant bus that goes back and forth from Earth to space routinely a couple times a day. Their launch windows, let me see if I can find that with Marcus's thing here, because he has some really interesting charts that they had announced. Oh, here they are. And he thinks they're unrealistic. I don't think they're so unrealistic.
With their Gigasat facility in Bastrop, Texas, outcome of Flight 13. Now, we have got some pretty neat updates this week from this presentation by Dan Hewitt, SpaceX's communications manager, Ian Dahl, a satellite engineer, and of course Elon, all sharing some of the future growth areas for SpaceX. Included were a series of great graphics showcasing some of their production sites and their expected growth, and wow, is the scale of this plan just beyond crazy. Let's start with their Gigasat facility in Bastrop, Texas, where they currently produce their Starlink user terminals. They are hoping to go from an existing 1 million square foot workspace and multiplying that by 11. Indeed, a staggering 11 million square feet of workspace will be the future here, which will be used to design and develop their future space-based data centers, but also the much larger satellite production facility here. Alongside, we have the production lines for the solar ingots, wafers and cells needed to power all these satellites. That is just the start, though, because then you've got...
My argument is that Ohio should have a lot of this, not Texas.
This aims to absolutely dwarf the Tesla Gigafactory workspace by roughly
I want to
10
see these
times,
kinds of things in
all
Ohio.
aiming to create the largest production line in history for chip fabrication. Indeed, if you love it, hate it, or are just utterly indifferent about AI tech, these chips will get crammed into the satellites and other technology to produce ridiculous compute power, which SpaceX AI can rent to anyone requiring that compute power. This seems to be a very reliable way to currently make money because the largest companies in the world can't seem to get enough of it, and the supply of chips has even driven up the cost of all of our computer hardware, including those needed just to do a little video editing or play a few games. Needless to say, it seems like SpaceX aren't going to be needing to steal underpants at all to fund Starship development and exploration, as was joked about way back here in 2016. They are instead putting themselves in a great position to lead the race, provided that they meet their goals and get Starships launching daily. So that is always
Starships launching daily.
Spectacle that we get so fired up about. As with many of SpaceX's overly optimistic targets, we got this slide here, which is meant to give us an idea of SpaceX's mass to orbit goals with Starship.
Look at this. Overly optimistic? That's what they say. That's what the pessimists say when they want to say it's not realistic because we're going to be in the way.
There on the left is astronomical, by the way, so much so that the payload planned to get to orbit through to 2027 wouldn't even be a single pixel in height at this scale. The rather, let's say, staggering increase in 2028, though, sits at around 200,000 tons to orbit.
2028.
Yeah, almost comically aspirational, maybe, and if you assumed that these were Starship version 4s with a payload capability of their
comically
stated 200 tons
aspirational
per launch, that would be 1,000 launches in 2028, or almost 3 per day.
3
Indeed,
per day.
There is a lot that SpaceX would need to prove if they really want to see that future so fast, and here, of course, you've got the insane increases in the years that follow. But look, don't shoot the messenger. SpaceX will work fast, but I'll believe this one when I see it. Anyway, going back to the data centers, they've announced here their brand new first generation AI satellite,
Here's
which
the data
will
centers.
use the same PES deployment mechanisms as the Starlink satellites do for Starship. These are expected to be launching by the end of 2027. The first generation satellite design will launch with NVIDIA chips,
Not
but
far
that
away.
design will support the other chip providers in the future, obviously including SpaceX AI's own manufactured chips once they are operational. The satellites themselves will span 20 meters with irradiators.
All right, so there's a lot. Marcus House covers a lot every week, and he's a fan. He covers space technology in very detailed ways. Him and the Everyday Astronaut, they do great work. And they're fans, of course, of this stuff. So they have maybe rose-colored glasses, and you hear him say that it's comically aspirational to consider that SpaceX is going to be able to, by 2028, put 3 launches up a day to put that much hardware and tonnage into space. And then what's the point of all of it, all that going to space? Yeah, it probably is a little aspirational. And my statement always especially in aerospace, the key tagline is always undercommit, overperform. That's the industrious ways of the past. That's what led to a lot of trouble and lack of economic expansion. And what SpaceX does is lean forward some more, and be optimistic to achieve those results. If you miss them a little bit, go dust yourself off and try again until you get it. So even if they get to half their number, that's a Starship going up every day, less than half. They don't even come close to hitting the 3 a day by 2028. They're just doing 1 a day or 1 a week. I would think be huge. I think it's going to be magnificent to do 1 a month, and they're talking about that in 2026. But as you get to 2027, you always have a Starship in space. Someone's doing something. There's people clawing all over these things. I refer always to the Falcon Heavy. And Falcon rockets go off routinely. I just saw one down in Cocoa Beach not long ago. And they go up all the time. They've worked out all the technical issues. And I remember 10 years ago, people said that was fantasy pie in the sky stuff. But now those Falcon Heavies are taking this Starlink satellite network into space. The entire world is covered in satellite coverage to do all this processing. And that's why you need these data centers to process all this information. So what good is all that information? Well, the next generation of AI is going to be robots and labor and robots doing work in space. Thousands of them. When you go to McDonald's, there's not going to be some dude spitting in your food because he's mad because he had to get up and go to work because his manager yelled at him. So he's back there making your sandwich and he's spitting on your sandwich. I've worked in that industry before, so I've seen it happen. Yes, it happens. If you talk on the intercom and I've heard this too, and you sound cocky or you get snippy with the person, Miss, I said I wanted a Sprite, a large, not a small. You know what they do in the kitchen? They spit on your food because the sandwich maker is trying to pick up on the girl that's at the drive-thru window. They put the girl in the drive-thru window who's kind of cute because that's what customers want to see. So they typically like to put the cutest person in the window or interacting with the customers. And the guy dropping the fries, cooking the meat, and making the sandwiches is trying to hit on her and trying to get her to date him. So he'll try to impress her when she gets yelled at by some soccer mom that's too busy, and he'll spit on the food. Look what I did. He just dropped a big goober on the sandwich. They're going to eat it and they won't even know. Ha, ha, ha. Robots won't be doing that. Robots just show up and do the job. They won't be smoking dope on lunch breaks, and they won't call in for work. They'll always be there. That's why when people say about the data centers, give the job to a human. Don't put the populist argument. Don't put humans out of work. Humans are putting themselves out of work by having bad work ethic. And to Elon Musk's point, he sees a day when you can send your robot to work or you can go to work. Either way, you're going to get the check, and you're going to make money because the economy is expanding and it's spilling over, and someone's got to put in their bank account. And retirement age will be an option, not a mandate. You're going to be able to choose to work as long as you want. You're going to be able to choose to be at any age you want. And you're going to be able to make a living in space, whether you go there or not, or your robot goes. It's going to be driven by these giant Starlink AI systems processed by these big data centers. It's a tremendous amount of information. And we can talk about ethics. But it's a changing world that we're in. It's moving quickly, and I like the idea of it. And really, this book here captures it well. If you want to read about it, that's great. If you want to hear about it, look up Marcus House on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing that I just showed you some of it. But it's coming, and it's coming fast, and it's exciting. And there's going to be a lot of options for people who want them. Much different than what you have today. And we're going to look back on the 2020s, I think, and the 20-teens. And we're going to say in 2035, wow, we've advanced a lot over a short period of time. Boy, that was so 2 decades ago. That looks really old and outdated and antiquated. Yeah, it will be. It's going to be very interesting. A lot more to come. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you ever read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
In the age of disclosure, you must understand the politics of heaven. Coming soon.
Coming soon, the politics of heaven in 2027. A treasure hunt through heaven and all human history.